Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Shah and I am from Board Games in a Minute, and I am for the Board Game Nexus today interviewing Haakon Gaarder. Hello Haakon.
Hey,
It's really good to see you. We were able to meet at UKGE, which was such a pleasant experience. It was really awesome to meet one of my favorite designers at the convention. I hope you had a good convention.
yeah, it was very nice. So nice to be back at it and meet people again. Amazing.
Awesome. That's really good. So, for people who aren't familiar with you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you grew up, where you're currently
Yeah,
living?
yeah. So yeah, I'm from Norway, and that's where I live. And I'm an animator by trade originally, but now I'm also a board game designer, so that's very nice for me. I also used to live in London for a while. Was part of the gaming community there, London on Board, which I believe you're familiar with as well.
Yeah, when I lived in London, I was a part of that gaming community too.
Yeah. So that was kind of my gaming education, I would say, because I learned so many new games there, like 5 new games a week at least. So it was amazing. So
What
yeah,
years did you live there?
sorry,
Which years were you in London?
I think it was 2014. Uh,
Oh, we were there the same time. I wonder if we ever attended the same meetup.
yeah, maybe
Oh,
we must have, I guess.
that's so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah, because I
Wow.
was there a lot because I didn't know anyone. That was basically my social life then. So
Same. That
yeah.
was the same for me. Like I made friends through Meetup when I lived in London. Oh wow.
Yeah, I guess it was lots of expats, yeah,
Yeah.
meeting there, and yeah, other people had friends from before, but people like us, we joined up there, I guess.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
So
So
what
were you kind of new to gaming when you were there, or were you kind of deep into it already?
I was kind of new to gaming. Like I had the
Uh,
first board game, modern board game I played was Catan in law school, and then I moved to London right after law school. So that's when I really discovered the modern world of board gaming as well. Yeah, so I guess
yeah,
kind of like you, maybe.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, what is your earliest memory of playing a board game? Like, let's talk about classic board games and also modern board games.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I remember my earliest memory is probably playing like Ludo. Do you call it that in the US as well?
Yeah, yeah, we have that. Yeah.
I think that's probably it. Yeah, didn't make much of an impression really, but I guess. And then in later childhood and early teens, I started playing Warhammer. And as a young creative person, that was really interesting. I don't know, have you played anything like that, like Games Workshop?
No, Warhammer, I have never delved into, no.
No, they really encourage you to be creative and make your own stuff. So I
Oh,
got really lost into that world, making up scenarios and all kinds of characters. And yeah, it was really great for me.
oh, that is really cool.
Yeah, and then Eurogames that came much later. Maybe I think it was in my mid 20s. I was in Berlin at some kind of animation festival, and we had an Airbnb. And there was a copy of Settlers of Catan in the apartment, and one of the guys knew how to play it, so we whipped that out, and I was quite mind blown that a board game could be like that. And for many people, and I mean, for like a lot of older people, like yeah, what am I trying to say? Yeah, for a long while I thought Catan was the only board game like that existed.
Yeah, that was also my gateway game into the world of board gaming too. It was Catan, and
Yeah,
that's when I also got hooked onto board games. Oh, that is really
yeah.
cool. Yes. So when is it that you decided you wanted to design a game of your own? When did you come to that realization? Like what sparked that decision for you?
Yes, I think it was when I realized that there was a whole world of board gaming, not just Catan. And I really remember playing Eclipse, and I saw that a board game could be just as interesting as a computer game, while also having the great social interaction element to it. And I'm kind of wired like that. If I like something, I want to make it. And this felt like something that was actually doable to make. I've been trying before to make stuff like, animated movies and things like that, but that requires like a large team and lots of money. But this seemed like something I could actually do. So that really inspired me.
Oh, wow. So your first game is Villagers, right? And that was published in 2019. But when did you first conceptualize that game? Like, when did it first come to mind?
I started, I think it was 2017, 2 years prior. Yeah. And then I just worked on it for a while, and then we kickstarted in 2018, and then it took a year before we got it out. And yeah,
Oh wow, so it took only a year before you actually kickstarted it. So how many iterations of a game does it usually take for you before you're happy with the final design?
Yeah, I don't have an exact number, but it's good. It's a ton of iterations. But I think there are some things that have to be in place before I feel it's finished. Like it has to be fun to do your turn. Every turn should be fun. Like you feel like you're doing something interesting, and the end of the game should feel satisfying. Like it feels balanced, and the best player wins.
Yeah.
And thirdly, it's maybe the most challenging thing is making the rules and the whole design work so that it's easy enough to learn and play and easy enough to remember the rules. So once those things are in place, I stop iterating basically.
Oh, nice.
Basically, I could iterate forever, but at some point you have to say, no, time to publish.
That's true. I guess you
Yeah,
could iterate forever. So how do
yes.
you play test your games? Do you have friends in person you play test with, or do you prefer playing on TTS? What's your method?
It's been a lot of TTS, and I started doing that even before COVID. And mainly it's because my publisher, Since the Fish Games, they work from the UK, so that's how I contact them, and that's how I pitched Villagers actually for the first time. I showed it to David Since the Fish through TTS, and we also had two random strangers playing with us at the same time, so it was a really interesting pitch.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we do lots of testing there, and I also do testing in real life. I think it's important to check out how it works in a tactile world, and yeah.
Yeah. So who are some game designers that are an inspiration to you and, maybe even your game design?
Oh yeah, several. Well, I really admire Ryan Knizia, like a lot of people do, because he does so much with so little.
That's true.
And yeah, and I like Uwe Rosenberg is amazing, and Eric Lang, I'm also a big Lang fan. I haven't made any games in his style yet, but I really love that thing. Yeah.
Oh, nice. If you had to pick your top three favorite board game designers, would it be those designers as well?
Yeah, probably. But it's a bit problematic that thing because there are many games I like that I really don't know who designed,
Oh,
which is a shame. Like I really like War of Whispers, but I can't remember.
oh,
I don't know
that's
what
so
which
true.
designer
I
it
I
is.
love A War of Whispers. I feel like that game kind of went under the radar for a lot of people, but it's a great game.
Yeah, and
Uh,
if I were to put you on the spot right now and ask what's the name of the designer, would you be able to?
I could not tell you. Oh my god. And I love
Yeah.
that game too, but I actually don't know who designed it. Oh. That's so true.
Yeah.
So what are your top three current favorite board games?
Oh, that's very hard. I think that's one of them. And actually, you can see the games I have on my screen there. That's the ones I've been playing lately.
Ah,
So I haven't tried Ruination yet, but yeah, I really like Tyrants of the Underdark and Clash of Cultures,
oh nice.
and yeah, those at the moment. It's always changing,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I like many games. I don't want to play the same game over and over, so it's very hard for me to answer actually.
Yeah, so how about not current? Like what is your top game of all time? Is there one game that you would say is your number one favorite game of all time?
Yeah, I think the ones I've played the most is Chaos in the Old World by Eric Lang.
Ooh, I've not played it.
And you haven't played it?
No.
Okay, it's his best game, yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
And I played Suburbia a lot.
Well, that's
Yeah.
cool. So, going back to your games, the publisher Sinister Fish has described your games as kind of being a loose trilogy. Is this something that you had in mind when you set out to design these games, or no? Like when you started designing them, were you like, I want to design a trilogy?
No, that was not planned. But Villagers was an unexpected success, and as it was delivered while I was designing Streets, we saw that it was going really well, and I also realized that it had some similarities, subtle similarities, and it could fit in the same size box. So it just made a lot of sense to turn it into a trilogy.
Yeah, I do love how they all fit in the same size box and they just look so nice together. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I'm
I
one of the
like it.
lucky ones who has Moon in her collection, and I love just seeing all three of them together. It's really great. So after Villagers, did you know that you wanted your next game to be a tile placement game? Like, how did you, come up with the idea for Streets?
Yeah, I really want to do a parlay game. I wanted to try to not make a card game this time because I wanted to see how Villagers was received by people, what they thought of it, and use that information the next time I made a card game. So in the time between, I wanted to do something different. And I already had the idea for Streets. It's kind of like I wanted to make something a bit like Suburbia, except you build together in the same city, and it would be fast flowing, a bit more like Carcassonne. And yeah, I had the idea for the art sort of that it would be a road at the bottom and a building, and that would the art and everything would work together. So
I
yeah.
love Streets. I actually just played it again yesterday. I lost very
Ah,
badly, but it's still one of my
oh,
favorite games. I love it.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So with Moon, which came first for you, the mechanics or the theme? And for those who don't
Yeah,
know, Moon is hitting Kickstarter in July, I believe. Do you have a date set in stone yet?
yeah, 12th of July is
Oh, 12th
the
of July.
date.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah. Also, I knew I wanted to do a science fiction game because then we'd have villagers, past, streets, present, and in future. And
Ah, that also makes
yeah,
it perfectly with the trilogy. So you have the past, the present, and the future. Oh, I love that.
yeah,
That is
and
really
they're all
great.
a little different. They're not like iteration of the same thing because you're supposed to own all three. That's what I want.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that is so
um,
cool.
yeah, thank you.
So the theme kind of came first to you then for Moon.
Yeah, it came about because I knew it would be science fiction and it would probably be a card game to fit in a box. And
Yeah.
at the same time, I got really interested in Seven Wonders style games, like A Wonderful World and Sushi Go and those, and
Yeah.
my take on that really.
Oh, nice. So, in general, as a game designer, do you think games are better if the theme comes first or the mechanics come first when you're designing a game?
Oh, yeah, I think it's mechanics that are inspired by themes are usually the best. Like in Warhammer again, they have this really cool thing. Like if you had a dragon, it would breathe fire, and the way that worked is you had like a cardboard fireball or a fire cone that you put in front of the dragon's mouth,
Yeah.
and any miniatures that would be sort of covered by the cardboard there would be hit by the fire.
Oh,
And I
wow.
think that's such cool like cinematic
Yeah,
game design there.
that is
Really love
cool.
that.
Oh, wow, that does sound cool. I know that there's an actor, I can't remember his name right now, but he also plays Warhammer. He's a big fan. The actor
The
who play
Witcher.
Yes, the Witcher actor. I just cannot remember his name right now.
It's Henry Cavill, I think. Yeah,
Yes, you're right. It is Henry Cavill. Yeah, he's a big Warhammer fan. I've heard. Maybe you guys could play together someday.
yeah, I'd love to.
That would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to meet him.
So I was wondering, you're Scandinavian, right? So Norway is a part of the countries that's considered to be a Scandinavian country. Do you think that's influenced your game design in any way? Because personally, when I think of Scandinavian, I think of minimalism and I think of like crisp and clean. And with your games, that's kind of what comes to mind. Like I know that they're not completely minimalist, but like, they do seem like a minimalist design to me compared to others and just very crisp and clean. Like the look of your games is very crisp and clean. So has being Scandinavian had an influence on your game design?
Well, not consciously, but people have said what you say that there's a Scandinavian feel to it with the kind of the crispness and the sort of yeah, all the white space.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The
Yeah,
white space, I think, and then like the artwork that is just, not overwhelming, but all the white space and the crispness of, yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
There's a principle like in graphic design where you talk about negative space versus positive space. So in my games, the white would be the negative space and the rest would be the positive. And the negative space is just as important as the positive space.
Oh,
So when I use white, I don't feel that it's empty because it's also has a shape sort of. So that's
oh,
what's behind it.
oh, wow, that is so interesting. I like
Yeah, it's
that.
like yin yang sort of. Yeah.
So your games, I would personally say that they're easy to learn, but there's still so much depth and strategy to them. Is that something you set out to do intentionally, or did that just happen by happenstance?
No, no, that's an ideal I strive for, and I'm very flattered that you say that because I try that really hard, and I always feel it turns out a bit more fiddly than I would want it to. But that's really the ideal to make it easy to learn and hard to master. I love that phrase. That's something I really strive for.
Oh, good. Then I'm glad that your games turned out the way that you wanted them to, because that's exactly what I feel about them. Oh, that's
Thank you.
great. So, out of your three games that you've designed so far, which one would you say is your favorite?
It's always going to be the newest one. So now it's Moon because it reflects where I am now in my taste. And yeah, so it's a boring answer, but yeah, that's how it's going to be.
Nice. I think that's my favorite too. If I had to rank them, I think it would be Moon, Streets, and then Villagers, but they're all fantastic. So have you started working on another game yet? And if so, can you tell us something about it?
Well, I have lots of like early progress games on my computer, but I don't talk about them until they're much more fleshed out. That's
Okay.
part of the process.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that I'm working on an expansion for Moon. Yeah.
Wow, I'm
So
excited to hear that.
yeah, we're definitely going to put that into the Kickstarter. So
Oh, so it's going to actually be in the current Moon Kickstarter too?
yes,
Oh wow, that's amazing. Have you guys
yeah.
Okay, I know I'm just going off the cuff here, but have you guys thought
No,
about
go for it.
guys thought about having playmats for Moon? Because just the other day I was envisioning a big playmat for the center where like the draw piles go and the reputation cards, and then if each
Yeah.
individual had a player mat that looked like the moon where you have your base that you're building, I think that would be so cool and I would totally get them.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we spoke about it, and yeah, that would be really cool. We were just wondering if it's something that people would actually want. If it's not,
I'd
does it
want
have
it.
a purpose? Because it's just the central stuff, and it's
Yeah.
not. So, but you would buy that, you say?
I would definitely buy that,
Yeah,
yeah, because I
yeah,
love
that's
Moon.
interesting.
It's definitely my one of my top 10 games of all time now. And so to
Yeah.
have a playmat that actually looks like the moon and you're putting your cards on it, I think that would be amazing.
Oh, yeah, we
Yeah.
might well do that. We have like in Tabletop Simulator, we have like the moon surface you play on,
Oh,
and that looks
nice.
really cool, like just a photograph of the moon surface, really, and
Uh,
that works really well. So,
yeah, that would
yeah,
be
maybe
so
something like
cool.
that.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that you're also a graphic artist, and a graphic is a designer or artist. What's the proper terminology?
Yeah, you would say graphic designer.
Graphic designer.
So I'm mostly an animator. That's my
Oh,
education,
animator.
but
Oh,
I've
wow.
also dabbled in graphic design. I just kind of came with it naturally. Like,
So
I don't know, do you use the term potato in the US for someone who does a little bit of everything?
no, I've never heard that. Potato?
We call it that over here. Like if you're a potato, you
I think
you
we
do
have the
like
term a jack of all trades. I don't know if that's
yes,
similar to potato.
that's maybe the same thing. I
Okay.
guess yeah, probably the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, so you're a potato.
Yes.
Potato is my favorite vegetable. I know that, there's some controversy about whether it's actually a vegetable or not because it's all starchy, but I love the potato, so.
I don't care about those definitions at all. Yeah, but yeah,
So,
it's so useful and you can use it for all kinds of stuff, and that's why we use the word for that. So
so do you think being a graphic designer gives you an advantage as a board game designer?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to me, there's no clear distinction between where game design ends and where graphic design begins. So it's part of the same thing. The graphic design is like the user interface where the player interacts with your system, and how that is shaped really determines how the game is experienced. So it's nice to be able to switch between those things instantly. And also the artwork is part of the graphic design as well. Can't ignore that. And if you look in the villages, for example, you can see that some of the cards that have more rules and stuff at the top have villagers beneath them kind of crouching down or sitting just to make more space. So it's really nice for me to be able to switch between those things.
Oh, that's really cool. So, do you intend to do for every game you design? Like, I don't know if you're going to continue working with Sinister Fish or you might even work with some other publishers in the future, but do you want to be the graphic designer for all of your projects and the artist as well? Or would you be open to having art and graphic design done by others as well?
Yeah, never say never, but
Never.
so I might. But I feel it's very good to have the art go with the design because it creates sort of a brand.
Yeah,
Like, with the Greek designer Cole Burley, he's working with Kyle Ferrin.
that's
And
right.
when you see
Yeah.
Kyle Ferrin's art, it's going to be a Cole Burley game.
Yeah, that's true.
That's really strong branding, and it's nice to have the same thing with my games. Kind of like, yeah, they try and walk it as well. So you recognize my art, and it's going to be a game in my style, and then you know what you get, and yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have a distinct style. Like I think, even if you didn't have it in the same sized box, if I saw the cards for Moon in just a flat big box, I would think, wow, this looks like Haakon Gaarder to me. Like I would
Oh,
definitely
thank
think
you.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you had any advice to offer to aspiring designers like myself, what would that advice be?
Well, get your hands dirty and start working. Don't spend too long planning. Just start making a prototype and start playing it very soon. And then after showing to some people, you can go back and just keep iterating and do it in Tabletop Simulator, because then it's going to be so much easier to iterate. It won't be as much work. You don't have to cut all the cards and all that.
That's
Yeah.
true. So, what is it like being at conventions and having people come up to you and, tell you that they're a fan of your games? Is it surreal? Has it sunk in yet that you're this established game designer now with a name in the industry? How does that feel for you?
Oh yeah, I really love going to conventions and meeting people, because it's really my only chance of doing it actually. Otherwise, it's like I just get lots of attention online when the Kickstarter launches, and then it just goes completely silent. And then when I go to convention, I meet the people who play my games suddenly, and so it's very strange.
Yeah, that's
So it's a bit like it's my birthday when I'm there. But it's also a bit like I'm on trial. I'm like afraid of someone coming up and saying something,
oh
criticizing.
wow,
And
that
yeah,
would
so
be a
it's quite
little.
a nerve-wracking experience.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't think about that. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good point. Did that happen to you?
No, people are very nice. I
Okay,
think
good.
people are really nice, and if they don't like it, they keep it to themselves. So
Okay,
yeah,
good. Yeah, like if you have nothing nice to say, why say anything? Like, why would you go up to a designer and be like, I didn't like this? Right?
yeah. We have all kinds of people in the hobby, but
That's true. That's true.
yeah.
Can we expect to see you at any USA conventions, like maybe PAX Unplugged or?
I would really want to do it, so I definitely will do it at some point, either exhibiting something or going just as a guest. That would be nice as well. So, do you recommend any particular convention over the others?
Yeah, okay, so I must be honest. The only convention I've attended is PAX Unplugged, but I've attended it 3 times. 2 times as just a gamer, and then once as a content creator. But I've heard from a variety of people who've attended all the conventions in the US that PAX Unplugged is their favorite. Like, there's just something about
Oh,
the vibe of PAX Unplugged, and also it's in a great city. It's in Philadelphia. You have Reading Terminal just across the street, which is filled with amazing food stalls. So
oh,
yeah, it's a great experience to be at PAX Unplugged because you can go out and about in the city and see people with their lanyards. You can see them in Reading Terminal, and you just feel the excitement of everyone being there for the same reason. And it's just nice to see gamers outside of the
yeah.
convention hall as well. I love it. And the
So
feeling,
it's like right in the city center there,
yeah, it is
or
right in the city
oh, that's
center.
cool.
And
Yeah,
it's a really great convention. I feel like there's a really great balance between the expo hall and playing games. They have a humongous game library as well and lots of open tables for gaming. It's
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk to David Sinch the fish and try and game along to go.
Yes, you definitely
Yeah,
should. I hope we will see you at PAX Unplugged.
yeah, definitely sooner or later.
Yeah, that would be great. So,
Yeah.
is there anything you would like to say to our viewers before we wrap up this interview?
No, check out Moon, and yeah, it's going to be out in July on
Yes.
Kickstarter.
And I will be doing a 1 minute overview video for it as well, so I'm super excited that I got to play it. It's a fantastic game, everyone, so you should definitely keep your eyes open for it. Well, thank you so much, Hakan, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me over. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a real pleasure talking to you. And until next
Thank you.
time, bye everyone.
Goodbye.